Today, we're going over a very brief history of early tag team wrestling. Now, I didn't quite think of a cool intro for this video because cool intros are hard to think of. But tag, I'm in. Okay. Now I'm going to suplex my cat. No, I'm not going to suplex my cat. Well, apparently now knows fetch. I wish I could show it to you, but she does not want to play fetch right now or be in the video. The first tag team match happened in America in 1901 in San Francisco. Now, in 1901, wrestling was very, very different. There wasn't a ring yet. They wrestled on mats wherever they could. At carnivals, in arenas, no, not so much in arenas. At carnivals, at places like that, they did a lot of outside wrestling, stuff like that, and they just put mats down, and the two people wrestled. Now, it wasn't a lot of body slams or snapmares yet. It was more catch-as-can wrestling and Greco-Roman wrestling, where you throw the opponent or you try to put him in holds, and wrestling matches could last for hours. So it was more like college and Olympic style wrestling mixed with kind of throwing the opponent, trying to lift the opponent and slam them. Than modern wrestling. So as you can imagine, I am not sure what this would look like in a tag team match. And I racked my brain for like 3 days trying to figure this out. Now, the only reason I know what a 1901 match looked like was because of the recent resurfacing of a George Hackenschmidt match. And I know these matches could last for hours because I found that on the internet. And yes, people would get bored with them. So I'm guessing the tag partner, since there was no apron and no tag rope, would stand or crouch outside of the mat, because on the mat was where the competitors were, and so the tag partner could stand on the mat, or else it'd lead to some sort of disqualification, because only the competitors and the referee could be on the mat. So they'd stand or crouch outside the mat, and then they'd make a tag in and go in there with whoever was in there. Now, I'm guessing there were also no hot tags during this time. Well, I'm pretty sure there were no hot tags during this time, or no double teaming moves. So it was very, very different than what we think of as tag team wrestling. Or maybe two people would wrestle for a certain limited amount of time as a tag team, and then the bell would ring and the other two people would come in. That could be it too. I am not real sure. As I said, I couldn't find any videos of this, nor could I find any pictures of this. Because a lot of stuff from that era is lost to time. I did, however, find a match from the 1930s. Now, in the 20s is when rings were introduced, and it became more of a show with body slams and snapmares and stuff like that. This match from the 30s was more of a tornado match, and was very interesting to watch because it was more a showy match, and it was more like modern wrestling, with the two people working together and putting on a good show. Now, also in early tag matches, up until really the 1930s when it caught on, it was just two single stars put together wrestling in tag team matches. Now, in the 1930s is when a lot of the tag teams started to form and be cohesive units and wrestle together, and that's when tag title matches started to form. Also in the 30s was when the first Tornado tag match happened, which I'm pretty sure was not the one I watched. But it happened in Houston, Texas. I read about this match, which is why I'm sure it was not the one I watched. People, when these tag matches started happening, they didn't think anything of them until they really caught on speed with tag teams forming. And the hot tag, which no one knows quite who invented that, really came about to add drama to the tag matches. Now, originally, it was just faces who got the hot tag, which built up their momentum and made them seem, which got a big pop for the face. Nowadays, as you know, even heels can get a hot tag. Now, the thing is, I'm saying that a lot. Some of the early tag teams chose their gimmick wisely. Because in the 20s and 30s is really when gimmicks started in wrestling. Back earlier than that, it was just, the good looking people were faces and the scarred or ugly people were heels. But in the 20s and 30s was when we started getting gimmicks. So this is also kind of a brief history of wrestling too. As I said, that is a brief history of early tag team wrestling. That went on to become very popular. I have not watched. The 1930s one was the earliest one I found, and it was Tornado Tag. Tornado Tag was popular in the 30s. But I could not find a regular tag match from the 30s. But then again, I could not find a tag match from 1901 either. Or any sort of evidence from a tag match in 1901. Actually, there is some doubt whether it actually started in 1901 because there's no sort of evidence in modern day saying it started in 1901. We've just got like a newspaper clipping saying, "Oh, there was a tag match." We've just got people saying, "Oh, this happened in 1901." There's no sort of evidence that survives to explain what happened. That is kind of how tag team matches started. It's evolved so much past then. And we're not getting into all that. As with the 50s, as with the 40s and 50s with television, it all got so much bigger. Because wrestling just got huge with television. And people could do mic work, and people could have managers. But that is pretty much early tag team wrestling. Join me later in this week for Crack Coon as Earth Month continues.